Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. So today we are back with ship evolution, and we're gonna edit the bridge ship separately as much as we can. So let's get started. Alright, so I got some really bad news for you guys, and this episode is going to be a bit of a shorter one and much more of a walkthrough because didn't realize I played around with my mic and everything was peaking throughout the whole entire video. So meaning the audio was peaking throughout the whole entire video. So I'm going to save you guys ears and do an in-depth walkthrough of what we did in the 2 hours worth of recording. Alright, so first off, let's just ignore what we have changed here, but I'm going to go right outside and show you what the ship looks like. And of course you'll see that in the thumbnail as well. So the ship has changed slightly, and it's the bridge ship that changed more than anything else. And the first thing of course to do is separate it to kind of show you exactly what we did. Alright, so we're going to take our merge block, separate it, and go forward really quick. And let that kind of stroll a little bit, ignoring what's inside for now. We're going to talk about the outside first. And look at the ship, the bridge ship now. It's changed quite a bit, keeping the front part as of course, but we edited the back side with the wing here as you see. And if you want to see in the front side view, it looks pretty cool. Well, I think so. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. Doesn't matter. Want to hear your thoughts. So what we did throughout a 2-hour video of peaking audio was basically deciding how we are going to design the wing side. So yeah, it was a lot of talking back and forth to myself, but we finally decided to go with this design. And the design is basically using some beams to connect diagonally and using regular light armor blocks or armor blocks to do another connection here. And this is carrying our front thrust and back thrust. So that was the idea here. And it connects on both sides. But before we actually did the wings, the first thing we did was extend the neck a little bit. So to extend the neck, we did this, as you see. We put some slope blocks here, some triangle blocks, and then we put these viewport blocks. We put the viewport blocks on top, bottom, no, top, left, right, and the bottom we put a half block there. And then from there, we initially did 4 merge blocks, as you saw in the last video, but with extended, of course. But this time we swapped it to 2, and I'll talk about that in a second. And the other piece I did was the side thrusting. So side thrusting was all back here in the bottom. It was here and here, which was terrible looking. It just looked like I just threw it on there or whatever the case is. So I decided to put one side thrusting here, another side thrust here, same on both sides, and added some beams to give it a little bit more design as well. So that looks a little bit better than just having it on the very bottom like I just threw it on there. It still kind of looks like I just threw it on there, so that's a bit of a problem, but not the craziest problem I have there. So I'm okay with that. We left the top thrusting, or the downward thrust, where it was. And I debated a lot about keeping the bottom thrust, because the bottom thrust here and there looked really out of place, because all this was not here as a design. It was just flat. So it kind of looked awful with just these 2 iron thrusters sticking out. So I decided to add some design to it. So I had these armor blocks here. We added these beams here just to give it a little more view there, or better look and more details there. And actually right here is something we changed last minute, because we were thinking of putting the piping system over here in the bottom instead of on the top. So let me just add that really quick. And with this done here, it looks a little bit better. So it looks like we didn't just throw on the iron thruster, we designed it out a little bit more. So that actually looks pretty good and decent. We could do a lot more, of course, but we'll hold on for that. Of course, the beams we kept a dark gray color instead of using white or blue, just to change it up slightly, as you see. I think we should actually change this into blue. But yeah, another tip that we went through also, instead of pressing P, if you're using PC for Space Engineers, to pick your colors, you can use the brackets as you see here. So one thing I was saying is that throughout the whole entire video, I was using P to color pick, but I could have easily just did this instead. So that's just a quick tip if you didn't know about that. But yeah, so the neck piece, the iron thrust wing here was a bit of a change. The merge block is a bit of a change as well. And the only reason why we're using 2 merge blocks is because we decided to play around with these hangar doors. So these are the warfare hangar doors with windows. So these look pretty cool, I think. And if we closed it, it would just create that whole neck piece right here. And I believe it would have created an airtight system with or without this block here. It's going to look exposed, like say for an example, if it wasn't there, it has this big gap and it's exposed. But I think even though that's exposed, it would have worked fine regardless in terms of an airtight system. I could be wrong, but that's my theory on it. I want to test it down the line, but we'll do that once we can close up this whole main ship up at the same time. So that's the reason why we use the 2 merge block system instead of the 4. And it still creates this kind of hallway and everything like that. So again, the only thing we really test is to see if it's airtight. But of course, drop a comment down below if you can confirm that it can be airtight like this, and we can go from there. But of course, ultimately, I'm still going to test it because I will add an airtight system. This whole ship will be airtight. So there's that. And the main reason why I added these hangar doors here is mainly because I wanted to be able to go in and out of the neck piece or in between the ships. So I can just open one of the hangar doors and come out when they're connected. So that's one of the main reasons why I added that there. I didn't want to add it or close this whole thing out and the only escape or outwards of the base is to go all the way in the back, which would have been kind of ridiculous in that sense. So yeah, let me merge it together really quick to see what that's going to look like. So we have the merge blocks off, so we can turn that back on. And I'll talk about the connector on the top in a second. Boom, merged. Alright, so that's merged up right there, and let's pretend these are closed. Then I can go straight down there and everything like that. But since we can, well, I mean open, so if it open is like this, I can get out easily to go in and out of the bridge ship and then also the main ship. So that is the purpose of the hangar. And of course, if it does create an airtight system, that'll be perfect. And of course, we use this type of block here so that it doesn't merge into the other ship. So we just kind of separate the ship out a little bit in that sense. It looks a little bit odd, but if I added another one of these blocks here on this side and merged it, the whole ship will be connected and we can't separate it. So that's the main reason why we did it that way. Alright, so the other piece is this. So originally the idea was to have a piping system. It was a C-shaped pipe that was coming out from right here, and it goes out, piped out until right about here with the connector to connect to this piece. But I scratched that out because that looks really odd to just have a static piping system that overlaps over this viewport here. So I decided to go with a piston system instead. So even though we merged here, and I found an interesting thing about it, we gotta merge it first before we extend this and connect it. But if you merged it first, like I did now, it's gonna be perfectly fine. Where I accidentally did this actually, but the maximum is 10 meters, full extension of the piston to reach this connector. If you were to connect it first and then merge the ships together, what happens is that this piston head, for whatever reason, merges into this merge block here. So that created a bit of an issue. And I couldn't disconnect it and everything like that. So actually it's not full 10, as you see here, it's 9.8. So let's change our maximum to 9.8. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the ship will start to clang a bit. And as you saw, it was slightly moving a bit as well. Putting at 9.8 looks perfect. Nothing's going crazy. And as you see here, we can continue to move it back and forth. Before I stretched out the piston, connected the connector, and then merged it, I couldn't unmerge the whole thing, and it couldn't get the bridge ship off of it at all. So that was a problem. So now, as you see here, we can separate it this way. And of course, if you want to be on the safe side, I think what we should do is put the strength to absolute 0. Or no strength at all. Disabled. So there we go. So we have a nice piping system. It retracts, extends, and everything like that. And it makes it look a little bit better than what it did before with the whole pipe sticking out as a static grid. So yeah, here we go. It's going to extend. Let's see if it hits the connector, is it going to move? If it does move, we can lower the meters a little bit. And I think that's perfect. That's not bad. If we really want to make it so that it doesn't push anything and make clang, we could put 9.75, reverse it, and then reverse it again, and it creates a little bit of a gap right there. So that's a way to kind of avoid clang. And the reason why I put the connector this way is so that in any ways we don't clang up on this right here, because if you had it this way, it does connect and stick to the grid here. So you put it horizontal, it's a lot better. But yeah, so now we can connect the connector with no problems, and the ship is not going to fly away or move anywhere. So the connector is this one here. We should call this connector B for the bridge ship, and we can lock it. And now we are 1. So that is the design of the outside of the bridge ship, the piping system, the connector, the merge blocks, the hangar doors, all that we talked about and decided slowly. It took some time to kind of get the idea of it, to kind of get it all situated. Another worry we had here was this. We were afraid that the the forward thrust was going to burn the ship down a little bit, but it should only burn about 3 blocks. So this is 1, 2, 3. So we're in good shape. But just in case, if anything, we just expose this here so that it can go further if necessary. And we made this wide enough and not very forgiving, where it is only a half block distance from the main ship and the bridge ship when we're connected, as you see right there. So it's not very forgiving, but it's a bit of a thing there. And I think if I made the neck a little too long right here, I can adjust the slope from here to here and leaving a hole for the thruster as well. So, I mean, from a distance, it's not too bad, but it does look like 2 different ships when you go further away. So I think I'm going to adjust that down the line. Alright, so that's the outside. We didn't do anything with the main ship except for cleaning up the neck with the hangar doors and welding up this block here and everything like that. The top piece we changed up a little bit, but that's more involved with the inside, which I'll show you in a sec, which you may have took a little peek when I exited the ship. But so far so good. Everything's looking decent. It's evolving quite well, and it's more to come. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the inside of the bridge ship. So the inside of the bridge ship previously was very crowded and compact because we had the large cargo container smack dab in the middle. So of course that posed a big problem because I couldn't really do much or walk around too much, except for a small little sliver of a corner, I guess. So when we first walked in, we had the reactor right in our face. Right behind it was the gyroscope that was right here. So that was just in the way of everything. And then right next to it was the large cargo container. So we decided to get rid of the large cargo container so we have more space to walk around, more ways to build more stuff and things like that. And build some stairwells and staircases to go up here. And actually, you know what? We can get rid of that piece there and add a stairs here. So should look like that. I don't have everything welded up just now, but yeah. So now we have a nice stairwell all the way to the helm. It's exactly what we kind of wanted here. Other than that, I see an opportunity. I think I see an opportunity to add a spotlight right here, if we can. I mean, spotlight in the inside of the ship might not be the best idea. Nope, I can't add it. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So we moved the reactor from here and the gyroscope from here to up here, which is slightly better placement in some ways. So it's out of the way. It's not the best placement in terms of having it being attacked, but it's not too bad. So the reactor looks pretty cool when we slant it on the side like this. And then we put a gyroscope on a connector or conveyor junction, because that is where the piston's actually stuck on. So that is right there. That little connector over there. And we did the math for a large cargo container. So a large cargo container holds 421,000, or rounded up to 422,000 liters. Where's the cargo container? Right here, of items. And that actually equated to 27 small cargo containers. So we decided to get rid of the large cargo container because it was in the way. But we spread out the 27 large cargo containers within the bridge ship, just so we have enough to collect resources, or enough space to collect resources. So it's the small cargo container is pretty much one-to-one with the large cargo with the small cargo container is kind of one-to-one. Well, not really one-to-one, but in a sense one-to-one with the large cargo container in terms of space or area. So the area of the large cargo container is basically 27 blocks. 3 down, 3 across, so that's 9 in terms of area, but these are cubes, so we do the cubic count, I guess we can call it. Not that great in my math terminology, but if you were to build out the large cargo container in blocks, it is pretty much 27 blocks total. So for an example, you're going to add 9 blocks, that's 3, 6, and 9 this way, and times that by 3 because it stretches out from here. So that's why it's 27. So it's 9 times 3 of those. So that's kind of the cubic measurement, I guess. So what we did in the bridge ship is actually add 27 small cargo containers. So we have 2 back there. We welded up first because we won't be able to get to it once we put the cargo containers in front. So you have 2 there, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the 2 back there is 12. We did that on both sides, so that's 24. And then we added a few more across. So we added 1, 2, 3, which would be 27. And for the heck of it, we added 2 more, so we have 29. So 29 small cargo containers in this thing. And now we have more space to walk around. So that was the idea with replacing the large cargo container versus the small cargo container, and that just gave us more room to walk around. We could put a little bit more stuff on the sides here, right here, and right here. I was thinking about putting a medical bay or medical room, I think it's called. Yeah, medical room in here somehow, but it's kind of in the way. But with that said, since we have 29, we could potentially just get rid of 2. So we can get rid of these 2 and put the medical bay right there, so we can have that space for one. So that is an idea. We can put cryo chamber in here now. We can do so much more because we have that kind of added space, which is awesome. And everything else is still piped up to the front, which is the drill system right there. So we definitely gonna change up the drill system a bit and probably put a piston, since we can't go too deep with it now, based on the width of the ship. So that's the thing we have about that. Yeah, so definitely a piston right up front so we can extend it and gather what we need to gather. We'll probably get rid of this one as well. But yeah, the inside changed quite a bit and we have more space. And since we had the space, we got rid of the top piece a little bit, or we made it a little taller right here. And then we added these things too. So just to give it the extra design and protection that we may need. So I think it looks a lot better without the large cargo containers, but it does have a lot of small cargo containers, and that actually might be a good thing in terms of getting kind of like attacked, if that's the case at the moment, because right now we have no offense except for ramming things, if anything. But if 1 or 2 cargo container gets destroyed, at least we don't lose everything like having 1 large cargo container. So that's the plus. Alright, so once again, this is gonna be a shorter video just to save your ears from the peaky audio. If you did prefer to have the shorter videos and have the walkthrough, we could do that as well. I do like to share the thought process as I'm building it, which gives a lot of value into learning space engineers at times, for the newer players or for those who are looking for a new way to design things, and kind of want to share the way my thought process works. So that's why I like to share the lengthy build process of the ship evolution. But if you prefer the walkthrough, let me know. That could be an idea. That could be a change in the series. But yeah, that's what we did so far with the ship evolution. We worked mainly on the bridge ship for today. We will continue and build out the main ship. Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot the main tip for today, other than color picking, was that the comment section, somebody mentioned that if you were to change up the order in your cargo container for your ores, that will determine what goes into your refinery. And so if we were to move things around, which I already did, but if we were to move things around up to this here, the top left, and move the priority back, like say down over here or wherever it lands, that's where the priorities work in terms of the refineries. And it's seemingly to work that way quite well right now. So let's just say, for an example, right now the cobalt's here on the top left. So if I got rid of the cobalt and platinum, it's going to throw in cobalt. If I move the ores to silicon, it's going to pull silicon. So as you see here. So I gotta say thank you, because that's an awesome tip that I actually didn't even know about. And I've been playing this game for many years. So the more you learn, the more you play, the more you learn. And of course, you guys are helping with that because you are dropping the comments down below. So again, very helpful comments. Always appreciate any kind of feedback. So keep them coming. Alright, so with that said, I think we are good to go here. We do need to flip this guy over to the other side since we did connect the whole entire ship backwards in a sense. And of course, if you enjoyed this series, hit that thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
you.